Good grief.
It's not fall yet.
No.
It's not fall yet.
No.
I'm not claiming fall yet.
We have nice weather to come. Yay. Of course, Phil was talking so much that he didn't get our opening song out, our normal song. So we just went right to Eric Clapton, and that was Change the World. And you know, every song we play out, there's a reason, there's a background to it. And
That was the first song we ever played at the Divine Fellowship. Did you know that? Because even way back when, I felt we could change the world.
Yep. Yep. And to talk about synchronicity and things that go, what? Yep. I just found a picture kind of buried, sticking to something, and I pulled it out, and I started looking at it, and it's like, oh my gosh, I mean, there's people that have passed on in this picture, there's people that have been in another state for many years, and we're just kind of going through it, and a couple people here are in there, so I showed it to William, because I knew that it was from a class that this one gentleman gave, and it was Michael Rice. And just as he had handed Paula something,
A 4-hour DVD.
a 4-hour DVD by Michael Rice.
He actually gave me a $2,000 check.
I think you're dreaming. Might want to wake up.
But I mean, oh my gosh, really? That
Synchronicity.
even shocked me.
Can I
The
share
synchronicity.
another one?
Go ahead.
Okay, this is
Done. Oh, go ahead.
my
Did
brother.
you already start that?
Yes, I
Okay,
did.
okay.
Oh, ye of little faith. My brother went with Sue. She went to a workshop about healing. And so she was signing in, and they said, oh, are you coming to the workshop too? And he says, no, I'm her bodyguard. Everybody laughed, ha, ha, ha. And they said, no, actually, I'm here to work on my book. He's writing a book. And the lady said, well, we have a publisher on staff. And so, just a minute, and he went and got her, and they met, and now they're going to meet up and talk, and I mean, you know, talk about synchronicities.
All you got to do is say something, and that's how things happen with us all the time. We both say and do things that it's like, why did you say that? And then all of a sudden, it's just
Like when Phil doesn't think he's terribly psychic, but he is. So we were having breakfast with my brother a few weeks ago, and Phil excused himself, went to the restroom, came back, and he said, you know, broke in the conversation, you know, it's interesting how so many people that we love have passed on. And it was like, that is just the weirdest comment ever. And then all of a sudden the song came on that was my brother's best friend's favorite song, and he had passed. And so it was like, that was a synchronicity, and to acknowledge that. And we keep laughing because it's like, this guy didn't believe in anything. He was an atheist. And so he says, oh man, this was his big surprise. Big surprise with that. So that was fun. But
T-shirts and sweatshirts that you might want to get.
I'm going to write a book someday.
Another one?
Another one about synchronicities. There you go. And everybody share your synchronistic stories with me because it's phenomenal. And just when we think we have nothing going for us, there's a stupid synchronicity that's maybe not a big deal, but is wonderful. And those things are inspiring. They inspire us and keep us moving.
They do. How many books have you written? Well, it's three?
Three.
Okay. Ooh, I even knew that. According to chemistry, alcohol is a solution. Scientists, and this is not my personal opinion, it's just kind of a ha-ha. Scientists, definition, it's a noun. An expert in science who does precision guesswork based on unreliable data from questionable sources who organizes the results in ways most people cannot understand.
Yeah.
If the USA switched from pounds to kilograms, the result would be mass confusion.
Har, har.
And new September calendar. You do know that Jan writes an article every month for the back. I mean,
And they're awesome.
they're very insightful, very thoughtful, and you've been doing this for a long time.
Say what?
And they're on the website too if you want to see faster.
Oh, yes,
Oh.
they're on the website. I think I need to send you this one. I'm behind the eight
Okay.
ball on that.
We have a guest
Sorry.
speaker today, and after services, there's Divine Messages with Beth. So stay for a few minutes for that. Everyone seems to get a fun time. And then Andrea, she's not here yet. She shows up at the end sometimes, maybe. Actually, she's in this picture too. Andrea's in this picture. So she is going to do seme healing, which is Hawaiian. So she's always does cool stuff with Hawaii. She does the outrigger and the ho'opono.
But she does do the boat races. She's the helmsman.
Right.
So she steers the boat.
Janice, we have music coming through the speakers.
You have music coming through the
Yeah,
speaker.
I hear that. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
We
Yeah, we were talking last Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something to do with the frequency. I can.
It's creepy.
Not in a bad way. I mean,
It's Miley Cyrus right now. It's the climb.
well, there you
No.
go.
It's the climb.
It's a club.
I don't know what to tell you.
What are we gonna do about that?
I don't know.
You want me to go adjust stuff in the back, wiggle stuff around, see what
No,
happens?
that's not going to help it. I can try to tune it out but I'll have to be back there, and I can't hear back there. Anyway, we have a couple patron saints by the name of John Lennon and George Carlin. Moving right along. And John said, "Love is real, real is love. Love is feeling, feeling love. Love is wanting to be loved. Love is touch, touch is love. Love is reaching, reaching love. Love is asking to be loved. Love is you. You and me, love is knowing, we can be, love is free, love is love, love is living, living love. Love is needing to be loved." Sounds like it should be a song, right? Probably was. And George, always insightful too. Yeah, I mean, you never know. This, I've got 101 things to say from George, and this is number 101. So you know what'll happen now? I'll go back at the beginning and start over again. That's right. And then some of you will have never heard them before. It isn't fair. The caterpillar does all the work, and the butterfly gets all the glory.
That's true.
Isn't that true? That's true. So, all right. The heart of a full-grown blue whale is the size of a small car.
Wow.
Its tongue is as long as an elephant.
Wow.
Now you've learned some good information from church, right?
Deep stuff.
See, learn good stuff.
Whale, deep stuff.
Deep stuff. Tact consists in knowing how far to go in going too far.
Some people lack that.
I know. Nothing is easier than to keep a secret. There needs to be more. There needs no more but to shut one's mouth.
Shut it.
Yep. And this one, occasionally I will get, because I don't read everything in these books, I just kind of pick and choose. Every once in a while I'll pick up a new one. I picked up a new one today. This is from Time Magazine back when. Violence is essentially a confession of ultimate inarticulateness.
Say that again.
I will, thank you. I couldn't say it the first time. Violence is essentially a confession of ultimate inarticulateness.
Can't say what you mean, so you punch it out.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was my translation.
True happiness consists not in the multitude of friends, but in their worth and choice. And you may deceive, I did that one before, because that's Abraham right there. Never mind. I'll do the next one. Men in general are but great children. Napoleon Bonaparte.
2 kids will play on the front row.
An ounce of mirth is worth a pound of sorrow. The sun does not shine for a few trees and flowers, but for the wide world's joy.
True.
I bet she's fun in a theater, isn't she?
There's Andrea. Say may his.
There's Andrea.
Such a lovely welcome. Thank you so much.
And Benjamin Franklin. 3 may keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. All right. Somebody gave me this book. I don't know. I know I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Actually, I just kind of picked pages and grabbed things. So I picked a new page and grabbed a couple more things.
Here we go.
Christ died for our sins. Dare we make this martyrdom meaningless by not committing them? I know, it's weird. I know, it's weird.
Let's take a pen and
Yeah.
X that one out
I like that.
next time. I know you like it.
Faith is believing what you know ain't so.
No,
Mark Twain.
Mark, come on.
Well, I mean, sometimes. But, it makes you think. Nothing I say is to be taken really too seriously. It's just to make you stop and think for just a second.
You can have faith in a person and they can totally crap on you.
True. She said you can have faith in a person, they can totally crap on you.
Yes, they can. I was up all night wondering where the sun had gone. Then it dawned on me. I would go rock climbing if I were a little bolder. I used to have a fear of hurdles, but I got over it. If a boomerang always comes back to you, why throw it in the first place? I don't know. Dad gave me a bat for my birthday, but the first time I tried to play with it, it flew away.
You're a little batty.
I'm going to just quit right there. I've got more. I need better stuff. Peggy, please. Thank you. Send me more good stuff.
Oh, okay.
Some of you don't. Peggy can. Some of you, no. Don't. Well, I think you're done. We need to move on to the next thing. If you'd be so kind as to move your books with you, take your books.
They're okay there.
He moved them this far. In case. So we have a guest speaker today. And she is here to share with us some information about Serenity. Give a big welcome to Michele Lanigan. Oh, she's doing stuff. I don't know what she's doing. Here we go. We don't know. Oops, backwards. Backwards? Sorry. There you are.
You can take more if you want. There's a lot. I would have passed them out sooner, but I figured you guys would all be playing with them. Put it, yeah, no. Don't put them in your ears. You guys are so fun. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me above the Miley Cyrus or whoever is playing? Okay. So I want to start.
Hold on for 1 second, please.
No, she's right.
It's stopped.
Stop. Okay.
You fixed it. Yay, Phil! I'll just sit here and watch you guys. This is more entertaining. So I want to start this morning with a prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So many of you know this prayer, and to me, it's an incredibly powerful prayer. It's only 27 words, but it has a lot of stuff in it. I mean, it's talking about serenity and courage and change and knowing what to change or not to change and wisdom. There is just a lot in these 27 little words. So, what do you think is harder, making a change or accepting something that you can't change? Who thinks making a change is harder? Okay, how about accepting something that you cannot change? Yeah, that's what I think too. That makes us, huh? About equal. And it depends too, right? So when you think about change, there's a lot to that. Are we talking about changing the world? Are we talking about changing ourselves or changing a tire? The prayer doesn't really go into that much detail. It's very broad. And but if you talk about, where do you start? How do you know what to change? Like if you're talking about changing the world, and how does courage fit in with that? Throughout history, those are kind of obvious. There's, people who have gone into battle to create a change, have risked their lives or have lost their lives to try to create a change in the world. And there's been, literally thousands of books and movies written about people who have, really stepped out there and tried to make a big difference in changing the world. But for the most part, we can't change the world. We're not going to do that. But we can make changes in the world, right? So usually we think of courage as big gestures like going to battle or running into a burning building. But a lot of times courage can be little things or big things. Have you guys seen the movie, anybody seen the movie Hacksaw Ridge?
Yeah.
It's with Andrew Garfield, and it's a true story. It's a story about a soldier named Desmond Doss, and during World War II he was drafted. And he could have taken a deferral because he worked in the shipyard, so he could have stayed because that was considered supporting the war effort. But this was after the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor, and he really wanted to be able to support his country in the war effort, but he refused to touch a gun. So he's joining the army, but he refused to touch a gun. And he was approved to be a medic, but he had to really fight to make that happen. Not the medic part, but to be allowed to go through basic training, because all the medics still get training on using a gun. And he wouldn't even touch one. And he stood by that and almost got court-martialed. And then he ended up finishing basic and became a medic. And the movie Hacksaw Ridge is actually the third battle that he was in. He was also in the Philippines, and it just based on what the other one was. But Hacksaw Ridge was in Okinawa, and it's this big ridge, and the Americans were trying to go up it and capture or claim this area that the Japanese were very entrenched in. And so it was a very strategic area, and it had, in the movie it looks like it's 2 or 3 days, but it was drawn out for a long time, for weeks, and was pretty bad. And so in this movie he's going up, and I don't want to tell you all the details because it's really good if you get a chance. I'm trying to tell you about it, but not tell you about it in case you want to watch it. And it is on Netflix now. But anyway, so he was bringing back these soldiers, and he's going through all this without carrying a gun. And he was bringing back the wounded and spent, I'm trying not to say too much, but anyways, he was quite a hero. He was actually the first conscientious objector to receive the Medal of Honor. He also received the Bronze Star with oak leaf, and Purple Heart with 2 oak leaf clusters. And so he was pretty amazing. And so when I think about that, the movie really portrays the courage, to do what he did as far as being a soldier and a medic and taking care of the people in this battle. But the other part of it is the courage to stand up for his conviction to not touch a gun. And, this is World War II, and it was very strongly, of course, that was why we were in war. I mean, the Japanese were considered to be a very real threat. They had bombed Pearl Harbor, and he wasn't going to shoot anybody. He absolutely refused. He would not even touch a gun. That takes a tremendous amount of courage. I mean, there was a lot of social pressure. He had a fiancée. His family supported him. They were Seventh-day Adventists, and that's part of where that came from. But so it was a very, very powerful movie for me for a lot of reasons. So if you have a chance to watch it, I'd strongly recommend it. But for us, in our everyday lives, we have to think about, okay, what kind of changes can we make in the world? And a lot of them can be little changes, just talking to people, how you treat people, lending a helping hand, supporting, different charities or things like that. The other day there's a park that I walk at Hermiston, and it's a big oval park. And the parking lot's on one side, and over on the other side, I was finishing up my loop, and there was a picnic table there, and there was this guy on the picnic table, not on the bench, he was on the picnic table, and he's reading his Bible. He's reading his Bible out loud, like this, so that everybody in the county and the next county can hear him. Spread the word. And so I finished my loop and ended up at my car. And just as I was getting to my car, he was finishing up, and he came over it. And I said, "I heard you." I said, "Thank you." And his face just lit up. It's like I just told him he won the lottery. And he's like, "You heard me." And I'm thinking, they heard you in Boardman. And I'm going, "Well, of course they heard you." And he said, "I don't think anybody hears me." And I go, "Well, people are just shy about saying anything." But he was just so excited that somebody heard him. And it was the cutest thing, but it was huge for him. For him, it was huge. But so other big issues, we can't, as an individual, change things like world hunger or, things like that. But we can contribute, and when you contribute to a charity or to something like that that's doing a cause that that's important to you, even if you don't have a lot, energetically it's huge. The energy of giving is very, very powerful. And it's synergistic, meaning that it will keep flowing and it will keep building and it keeps growing. So if you ever do, if you don't have a lot, and I've been there where, I have $1 and that was all I had. But that energy of continuing to give is very, very powerful. So don't ever, underestimate the power of your gifts to various organizations. And let's see this is another one of I was at a gas station, my personal stories. I was at a gas station when I'm filling up my car. I look over and there's this guy is fumbling with trying to attach something to the back of his bike. And so I go over and I'm watching this whole time filling up my car, and I have all kinds of stuff in my car. It's like, anything, I could live out of it. And I open it, oh look, there's a bungee in the back of my car, and I go over here, can you use this? And he just lights up. And again, it's those small gestures, whether it's towards an individual or towards an organization, that really make a difference. And Janice, I'm going to tell a story about you and Phil and Delilah. And if I'm wrong, when we get back up here, you can correct me, but it's mostly right. So did you guys hear the story of how they got Delilah? No. Delilah was at a kill shelter in Houston, and she was on the list. And she got sent up here with the idea that she would have a better chance of getting adopted. And the reason why she was on the euthanasia list is because she was so energetic. And so they got her, and it was during COVID, because I remember when we first started doing online, you'd be there listening in, Janice and Phil are doing their thing, and in the background you go, and she's chewing on a bone or a squeaky toy, or she's walking back and forth, or you could hear the tail going. And it was just the cutest thing. And she's just, if you've seen her, they've brought her to church every once in a while. She's just the coolest, sweetest dog. They've done so much work with her. But, they didn't change the world, but they changed Delilah's world.
Yes.
And that's really huge. So did I get it mostly right?
Yes.
Oh. So what about changing ourselves? A lot of times when we think about changing ourselves, we think about big stuff, like New Year's resolutions. And a lot of things can take a lot of courage to change, facing what you want to. I don't like to use the term improving, because there's just, to me, it feels like there's a lot of judgment, but you might want to change and do something different, be something different. So what do you guys think? Do you know what the number one fear is for Americans?
Public speaking.
Public speaking, like this. And that used to be me. I mean, I was not afraid of, it wasn't just public speaking. I was afraid to talk to people, other human beings. I was so shy. I would sit in the back of the classroom and I never raised my hands. I was just terrified. And I don't know why. I don't know what thought was going to happen. But I made a conscious decision when I was about 18 or 19 that I was going to change. And I remember the very first time, like, when you go buy something, grocery store, at clothes or something like that. So I went up to buy something at, I think it was Mervyn's back then, and I gave the lady my money, and I said something. I actually said something. I spoke to her, and it was something, pretty normal, like nice day, or the weather, or a nice top, or something like that. And she talked back to me, and she was nice, and we had this tiny little conversation. And I just remember feeling so excited and this tremendous feeling of relief, because somehow in my emotional baggage, I thought something bad would happen by talking to people. And I remember the first time, because when in college, like I said, I'd sit in the back of the classroom, and I heard that the best students sit in the front, so I, could use all the help I could get. So I moved into the very first seat, and I remember this one professor, and he's talking, and he's trying to engage people and ask questions, and I raised my hand. And he picked on me, and I said what I had to say, and he took what I said and carried on with the conversation. And I was like, oh, that was so exciting. Nothing bad happened. He heard me. And it was like really, really huge, for somebody who was absolutely terrified of talking to people. And then I took a speech class in college. I took a speech class when I was working for the Air Force. I joined Toastmasters. I took a teaching class. So I did a lot of things to consciously, get over that. And I still will sometimes, like if I'm around people I don't know, I'll still will kind of shut down, and I have to make an effort. People aren't going to kill me if I go talk to them. You guys I know are safe, but So there's a lot of other things that a lot of times we think of as ordinary life, and they're really huge. One of the things that I saw is the courage that it takes every day to get up and go to a really crappy job to support your family.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of us have been there. It's really hard, and sometimes you just have to do it. And that takes a tremendous amount of courage. Asking for help. That's a really hard one. And that's kind of my another one of my biggies, and I'm working on that. So I should tell Karis I'm moving. She just laughed. She walked out while I'm talking.
How rude.
I know. So asking for help is a big one. Standing up to addiction, any kind of addiction, that's really hard. And a lot of people struggle with that. And if you have had that for yourself or in your family, if you've been able to deal with it and stand up for that, I am very proud of you every day. It's huge. So what other kind of things can you change? Can you change your past?
No.
Nope. Past is done. But you can change how you feel about your past. I mean, how many times do we carry around anger or resentment or frustration about something that happened in our past? And we can let go of that. And you don't have to keep reliving it. And I think the reason why we kind of get stuck on the emotions of something is we're trying to fix it. Emotionally, we're trying to fix it, and you can't, so you kind of get stuck on it. And I think this is part of where the serenity comes in. It's to realize that you can't change things, and this is where the acceptance comes in, acceptance of what you can't change. So there's a tremendous amount of healing in letting those go. So what about the Civil War? Can we change the Civil War? Nope, that was in the past. How about the Holocaust?
No.
Also in the past. 9/11, World Trade Center and Pentagon?
No.
Past. Okay, but what about the people that may have trauma still today from those? They're calling it generational trauma, or people that were involved in it. Now, we can't change those people, but what can we do for them? We can just respect them.
And be there for them.
You could be there for them.
Listen to them.
Listen to them. You could hold them in your heart and just respect that whatever they had, whatever they're feeling, is true for them, and it's part of who they are. So what about, oh, here's a good one. Slow drivers. Can we change slow drivers? God put them there to keep you from getting tickets or getting into accidents. What about my height? Apparently people think I'm short. Isn't that funny? I'm not, and I could prove it. Okay. Look. They go all the way to the ground. I'm not short.
Pretend you're standing next to me.
My legs still go all the way to the ground. Can you change other people?
No.
What about your family? No. But you can change your response to them.
Yes.
Right? You can change your communication with them. There's some people that have cut off their communication with family members because it might be toxic and they need to heal. And so, I mean, you can respond, but you can't make them change. So how about other people's problems? Can you change other people's problems?
No.
I don't try to solve them.
No, try to solve them. My ex and I used to work at the same place, but it was different, off different areas. But we would drive home and we would, of course, talk about work, and it was a lot of this, and we found out, and we'd try to help each other and offer suggestions and stuff like that, and found out that most of the time we just needed to vent, and we started saying that, do you want help or are you venting? And so I remember one time we were riding home and he was driving and I'm just and this happened and that happened and I'm just ranting and raving, and I look over at him and he's just happy as could be because he didn't have to do anything, say anything. He's just driving along. He probably wasn't even listening. He was probably thinking about something important like golf. So what about health issues? That kind of depends, huh? So like some things, I mean, it's important to pay attention to your health and to change it where it's appropriate. Some things you can't. I'm wearing glasses because my health issue is being able to. I like to see you guys, see what you're up to. But then I recently found out now there's surgery, and I'm thinking about that, and that's a decision. Do I want to talk to my doctor about getting surgery, or we were talking about you, Karis.
Yeah.
I was talking about
My ears were burning.
We were laughing. But so that's an issue that I got to think about: is do I want to get surgery or not? And I have hearing aids, but I don't wear them. So it's very personal, and sometimes if you have health issues, you have to accept them, and then you have to deal with that whole other kind of energy, like being short. How about the Seahawks? Can we make them win? No.
If only.
If only. How about the Mariners? Same thing.
You can pray.
How about your diet?
Yes.
We can pray.
People always talk about wanting to improve their diet or change their diet for one reason or another. But that one, for some reason, is really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to change your diet. I gave up meat in 2011 and have not gone back. And that was not a hard decision to make. I know some people, they think about it, but for me, it was not an issue. Now, if I could only do that with chocolate, I would be fine. So here's a big one. Can you change the future?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Are you
Your
sure?
own future.
So, some of you might know General Schwarzkopf was the commander-in-chief for Desert Storm. Desert Storm was when we went over to Iraq and Kuwait. I'm trying to remember the details, and he had a saying or a motto, and it was, hold on, let me get this right. Plans don't win wars, planning does.
Okay.
So you can plan for your future, but your plans may fall apart when the future comes because events will happen that are unforeseen. You never know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but you still have a plan, and then you adjust. And the planning process of thinking about the future and what you want to do and your goals, you can readjust. And I think that's a really good way to look at it. You can't change everything. So, let's see. Do you guys still have your cotton balls?
Yeah.
Anybody need one? Okay. So here's what we're going to do with it.
Got a little tickle in my throat. I guess that's where it went.
There's more in the back. I think, where did the bag end up at? Do you want one? Oh, you got one. Never mind. She's got one. Okay. So here's what we're going to do with the cotton balls. This is kind of in lieu of our meditation, sort of, kind of. Do you need one? Does Sandra have one?
She found one.
She found one?
Yeah.
And you can have more than one. This exercise is just a fun. I like finding different ways for me to visualize ways of healing and releasing. And so you take this cotton ball and put it in your hand. And what we're going to do is think about something that we need to accept and let go of and have serenity about that. Something that we cannot change, that we want to let go of. And have serenity about making that decision. The wisdom to know we cannot change this. So imagine, and we're going to release that into the cotton ball. And you can do it a couple different ways. One is you can just imagine that tension, that thought, whatever, that energy going through your arms and into your hands. Or I like to use breath a lot when I'm doing healing work. And so one thing you could do is you could breathe into your hand where your cotton ball is. And just exhale into that cotton ball. And I like to visualize all those carbon atoms that I am letting go of. Imagine them going into that cotton ball. And now it's separate from you. It's in your hand. And I'm going to pass around these bowls and I'll collect them. And I'll take them home and burn them and release that energy into the universe. But now, doesn't that feel weird? You've let go, you blow into that, you let go. And it feels weird. Now it feels like, I don't even want to touch it now. So let me pass these around.
Michele, can I relate a story?
Yes.